Live.
Hello world, Nige Temple here again, and as usual we answering some questions that get into the human condition and meaning of existence. First we'll do introductions, and then we'll get into at least one question from, I believe, Nige Alkides. Alright, I am Nige Coach.
I am Nye G. Mitchell.
I am Nai Ji Ben.
Alrighty, so before we get into that, I just mention real quick that we've been experimenting with some functionality, and we are now streaming live these days with the Hangout, as well as we have a Q&A function enabled. So should people want to ask you questions live, we'll be prepared to do that. But until that happens, we'll be taking ones that come in from email like we normally get them. Okay, so did you guys introduce yet?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, then let's go ahead with Nige Alkides' questions. Ben, do you want to start us off today?
Before we do that, do you want me to try to show it?
What's that?
Remember the showcase thing?
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's just try it out. So we're testing this out to see if we can show the question as we're going through it. I don't know how this works, though. If not, then we'll look into it in the future.
We're trying to do some functionality upgrades.
So I clicked Show Item. But I don't know if that actually worked. Come on. Let me try this again. Okay. I have it clicked as shown. I assume you guys don't see anything? You don't see
I actually see it.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I see the link to the forum.
Oh, it's just a link? Okay.
But
Well,
it actually like is it. I don't know. Like, it actually shows what you said too. Hi everyone, I'd like to post more about my attempt to apply. Oh no, it actually. Oh, it actually shows the part of the thread you're referencing.
Okay.
I think. Or maybe it's just. It might just be the first.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite what I thought it was. But I was thinking it would like show it on the screen or something. I guess not. But that's fine.
Okay. What it does is it gives you like the first like few sentences of the thread itself. But what we're referencing is actually a specific post within the thread.
Well, that's useful.
There actually is a way you can link just to post. And basically that number in the upper right hand of the post, if you right click it and copy the link, that will link you to specifically that post as opposed to the first post in the thread.
Right.
But anyway, we're looking. I think. Oh, it actually. Are we looking at both? Oh, we're looking at both posts. So actually, in this case, we do want to look at the entire thread because it's okay. I thought this may have been something that's been going on for a while, but no, this actually happened just this week. So we're going to be covering this whole thing. So this is actually good.
All right. So
Should I start reading, I guess?
sure.
Or,
Go ahead.
cool. Hi everyone, I'd like to post here about my attempt to apply Podler theory and some problems I had been facing for some time. I hope for any constructive criticism. Over the last few months, my motivation for studying and doing worldly things in general dropped. The only thing I had no trouble keeping up was going to the gym. I trained hard but did not really care about my diet. I kept eating a lot and gained weight. I realized that this was a problem and made several attempts to change it, but none of them really worked permanently. I read different books and guides about goal setting, discipline, problem solving, etc., and tried to apply them, but somehow I just didn't have the will to continue. To keep writing and following to-do lists or diet plans, for example. I kept setting and resetting my goals. The core few remained constant. Enlightenment, fitness, secular success, which I'm not really sure, but deep relationships,
I think
Worldly.
success. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, deep relationships doesn't have to be romantic. Even just deep friendships would be great. In the past, I was very interested in languages and literature, but I realized that I didn't really see a place for them in my story, and wasn't really interested in them except for sheer inertia. So I put aside any goals to learn new languages that wouldn't help me that wouldn't help me in my goals above.
Okay, before we get too much more into it, is this stimulating you guys any particular thoughts?
So he's getting less interested in worldly things. But I think that's kind of...
It seems like he's interested in worldly things, but it seems like his focus. This is good. I believe
Right.
is narrowing on what he believes will be getting flags forward. And he's having trouble getting what he believes are important flags forward. He doesn't have the motivation to do them, and he wants to figure out how to, I think, motivate and focus himself to have that happen. So we have to talk a bit about focus and motivation, and then also on what are proper goals to set. We keep reading, but I think it's important to kind of understand where his head is right now. We can kind of keep adjusting and hear more about him. Okay. Did you guys see? That's kind of what I heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that jives with my impressions.
Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, I kept setting and resetting these goals following different methods, but somehow kept not following through with carrying them out. I've been following the episodes.
I mean, in simplest terms, I'll say one thing right here is whenever you have any mojo that is continually lacking motivation to peak in the world or in an interface, then it's generally going to be one of two things, usually a combination, and everything else is kind of like details in between, which is you're not flowing in the process as your peak pathway wants. And so, for example, you may even be interested in history or maybe interested in philosophy or whatever, but if it's not in a way that your peak pathway can flow, for example, like Naiji can have a philosophy teacher of all varieties, and that will greatly affect how they're taking in the study of that course. The kinds of books they're getting, are they very sort of stuffy books, or are they more immersive? So that's one, which is like basically, are you being pulled from your peak pathway to go forward in a way your peak pathway is interested in? So it's very important that happened. But then the other one, which is going to be crucial here as well, is the targeted goals. Are they of interest? Because then even if you actually are, coaxing your peak pathway to go forward in a method that it likes, the topic's not interesting. So I think we've got to talk about the method of getting your peaking to happen, and then the topic or target.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
I've been following the episodes of Naiji Temple and review some of the various old theory videos too. Today I decided to try to apply the theory to my problems.
Good, and just for you guys to note, when someone says like that, it's important to note, like, they're kind of like talking out what they believe they know about the theory and how it relates to things, and so we want to be obviously very helpful as much as we can, but at the same time being aware that we may need to explain more what the theory is that he's attempting to put to use.
That makes sense. I realized that I had been stuck in a Daryu rut. I had mood swings, I would feel angry and tired at the world one week, then great the next week. Interesting. I realized I'd been stuck in a Daryu rut. Then he says I had mood swings, I would feel angry and tired of one week, then great the next week. So there's actually some weeks where he does feel great, so that's interesting. So when you are feeling great, that would be a sign that you're actually flowing and you aren't really experiencing.
Naiji have a lot of mood swings.
Right. See, that's important to note. There's the innate mood swings of being a Naiji, but there's also this yo-yo quality of when those mood swings are not in the natural flow of the peaking, but are more dialed into what you're eating, who you're having sex with or not having sex with, things of that nature. And so the mood can greatly be affected by sort of like the immediate state of things. And so that kind of mood swing is not a positive one. It's not part of like the flex back mood swing. This is more like improper high and then crash. Improper high.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would also feel that this dread in my heart going through the Daryu Rut video. I realized these were manifestations of the rituals of anger and fear, respectively. interesting. He doesn't mention confusion, but I'm sure that's also a part,
Yeah.
plays part in his experience.
I think so. I think he's probably not really knowing how to peak right, and I don't know if he's actually.
Because I mean, he is experiencing confusion as he's writing this. He's working through it. I mean, but it's kind of a minor detail. It's not really.
No, I don't think it is. I think the fact that he's talking about Daryun, he's mentioning anger and fear, and not the fact that he's actually kind of fumbling around and feeling.
Right. That's the whole reason he's writing this, is that he wants to try and find some sure footing.
Yeah.
Sure. Anyway, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe just keeping up with going to the gym while at the same time overindulging in food were signs of improper use. Sometimes I would get really short-tempered at people in the gym I felt were fucking around. I think I've calmed down over the last week or so, but it's not completely satisfactory yet.
Yeah, Naiji, who are peaking, they'll still get charged up temper, but it won't be as out of control or quick, and for things that seem later on to be a bit frivolous. It'll be more directed towards a daunting goal that requires that kind of drive to get over it, and so it feels good to exert that energy on something, an obstacle, things that can stop you. That's good. But if you don't have something of an interesting challenge your peak path would exert that on, it'll start leaking out in other ways, because it'll start like wanting to flex itself on something. You guys may notice that sometimes you get in like conversation, maybe you realize it, and you feel the need to be dominant or to just chase something down, and all of a sudden you're having what seems like a silly conversation, and you get really intent on it. And afterwards you think like maybe even inordinately intent. And this, for Naiji, obviously, if we care about something, even if it's considered odd, we don't care if people think, whoa, he got worked up. But other times you're like, even myself, I think I got worked up either too soon or too much for that. That doesn't seem like it really made any sense.
Yeah.
It happened to me before, but I try to avoid it.
Yeah, me too. But I noticed when that does happen, that usually if I think about it, I have something on my mind or my heart I need to process. And that's
absolutely. There's a reason for it.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Definitely.
I realized that I, as the apparatus head, to take control again. I went to McDonald's, ordered a hot chocolate, and sat down to think through and write down my thoughts, to have an inner dialogue with my spirits.
And your spirits will like that very much. Anytime you formalize the process with them in a way that feels good for you and feels like it's honoring them, they will recognize that, and your rapport will increase.
I really like the Miracle Man comics by Alan Moore. I borrowed the idea of saying a special word to transform into your superhero self as my shiny token of authority.
That's cool.
I imagine myself transformed into a superhero in my seat of power on Mount Olympus to have the authority over my spirits. I realized I was angry because I had not really done my best, not even my minimum at school. My fear manifested as dread because I was afraid of all the things I'd let just pile up and was going to have to face. Still, all this culminated in a resolution. I had to know what the fuck I want to do, where I want to go, and turn to face these things. So that's actually confusion. Well, getting past confusion is like knowing what you're supposed to do, right? And then fear is like I was afraid of all the things I just let pile up and was going to have to face, and anger was the anger you need to actually push through all that.
True.
To reach resolution.
There's also and this may be relevant, I think, to this case. It usually is when people are Naiji discussing this kind of thing of the back and forth with their energy and their confidence and their clarity. Is there's going to need to be an assessment, and you have to be strong both ways that you look at this, which is that you're feeling daunted by something and it gets very uncomfortable, and you need to get to the point of a righteous rage, to the point of just calm detachment, where you look at yourself and the situation and the factors that are causing it, and you're like, Is it that I am just clinging to a weaker, smaller version of me, and I need to burn through that to be something better? And when I am that something better, I will feel uncomfortable with this daunting task. I will become one with it. I'm going to merge this daunting task, and we together will complete it. Or the discomfort is like, this is inappropriate discomfort. The reason why I have a hard time being motivated is because I don't want to do this. And so it's taking a tremendous amount of fear to motivate myself to do anything. And I'm getting angry at being motivated by inappropriate fear. I want to be motivated by something that's properly motivating. And so I'm going to have to find a way to slip or push back this thing that's telling me I have to go get these goals when apparently my spirits and I are not really into getting them. So it could be either way. It could be like I need to just get over myself and go do it, or I need the world's expectation of me to get over itself. And that world expectation can be not even tangible. It can be from family members that are present or not present, or things that they said to you over the years that put ideas in your head of like what I need to be in order to get secular success, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mitchell, do you want to jump in, do some reading?
Sure. There's quite a bit after all. I'm trying to remember where exactly we were. To face these things, is that last?
Yeah, that was where we ended off.
Cool. Thank you. I imagined myself summoning forth my Fumasta mentor to guide me through my goals. I went over my goals once again. Enlightenment is the same. I think all Naiji want this to some degree.
Real quick, and it's a subtle thing, but I will make sure it's there, because a lot of times words, they don't always mean the same thing, and how they're meant changes the case.
Oh, yeah.
That one sentence, I went over my goals once again. Okay, now that is after the statement, and this is where, you can almost get mathematical with it, like logical sequence based on what's being mentioned. I imagine myself summoning forth my Fumasta mentor to guide me through my goals. Okay. There's something that tickled me before, and I let it go because it's kind of like, it could just be a word choice thing, but I really think I need to say something now, which is to, not the blurb above it, but the second one above it, which is to have the authority over my spirits.
Yeah, that actually tickled me too. I didn't mention that though, because I figured it might be.
That bothered me a little bit. I'm going to touch it because I think it relates to here. In my seat of power on Mount Olympus, okay, it's important. I like this, the whole saying, special word, transform into your superhero self. I like that, but it's important to understand that, like, if you're thinking about Olympian gods, right now I'm working on the L9 CNC with the various bubbles, out there that also do Omni model stuff, both the scientific and the spiritual. And so different models have different things for them. Mount Olympus, for example, that is a pantheistic religion based upon an imperial understanding of human existence of the Greek and Roman people, for example, that had those traditions. So they had a bit of might makes right to the way they did it. There's a lot of things as far as like principles of natural law that the gods of Mount Olympus were not enacting really correctly the way things worked. They would have to update. If you wanted to update your understanding of Mount Olympus to be like Podlair Olympian, that's fine. But there would need to be an increased understanding to get to highest truth. So the fact that he's mentioning Mount Olympus as the way of doing it, I think is what bothered me. It's when you say superhero, I didn't say anything about that because superhero crosses all genres. It could be comic books, it could be mythic, it could be modern day, it could be your parents, it could be anyone. And so I like that term. It's universal. Mount Olympus is not. As a thing to hold in one's mind eye, you need to be careful when you're summoning Mount Olympus or Buddha or World of Warcraft, anything. And World of Warcraft could be awesome as long as the math of it is correct. But say Mount Olympus, there's a lot of cultural things that are implied in there that may not be correct. And part of that is this authority over my spirits. I think it's authority over the destiny of your personal story, and your spirits are there to help guide you. They come from a natural law above you. So your authority is to actually take the story where it needs to go, and they help you if you are the one who's worthy of the authority.
Right, it's like you can kind of summon them, but that doesn't mean you can tell them what to do or tell you.
Mitchell perfectly said, and that's my issue when we get this next thing here, which is I imagine myself summoning forth my Fumasta mentor to guide me through my goals. Not saying he's saying this, but there's a little whiff of it, and I feel I need to address it, that you're like summoning a genie that needs to do your bidding. Your Fumasta really summons you to be your higher self. You can call to your Fumasta, and if you're doing the right things, it will come to you. And I've used the word summoning myself in the past, so that's why it's not inherently wrong, but a cumulation of things said here make me a little concerned. And it goes into the next sentence, which is, I went over my goals once again to guide me through my goals. Okay, actually they're our goals of you and your spirits. And it's critical that when you call to your Fumasta, you call to your Fumasta to help you know what is the thing to do. And often, most of the time actually, the vast majority of the time, it'll start with taking the goals list you have in your hand, out of your hand, crossing a bunch of that shit off, if not just crumpling the whole thing up and tossing in the corner, and then pulling out a fresh sheet of paper and writing your goals list from scratch, new goal list. The Fumasta almost always does that. That's its purpose for being there. So to summon a Fumasta to mentor you through goals you preset is not mentoring you. That's like maybe a consigliere, but that's not a mentor because you've defined the parameters. The Fumasta may need to reset those parameters.
And often the parameters come from stuff like Mazut.
Yep, exactly. So
below.
They'll be pulled away and real thing will be shown. So as far as like motivation, generally if I call to my Fumasta and it comes to me and we have a dialogue and I'm listening to my Fumasta, what he's saying to me, and I implement it, I almost always get more confidence, clarity, and drive and motivation to go get what's being done. If I don't, it isn't that my Fumasta did not give me the energy, did not give me the confidence. I didn't do what I needed to. A lot of times you go in, you have what you want it to be, Fumasta is showing you visions of something else, and you keep like shaking it off like, you know, like a catcher. Like, no, pitch me something else, pitch me something else. And so if that's the mindset you're in because you only want to be pitched like insights on goals you've set, then you pretty much have set yourself for failure because your Fumasta is not really mentoring you. It's just giving you advice, you know, kind of like, can I tell you what to do? Like, totally? No, I just want to hear this. All right, well, if you only want to hear that, then here's what the answer to that is, but it's not really the big answer. So I think Alcides might be missing the big answer, and it's because he's not setting himself to how one hears the big answers from any of the spirit forms. I'm curious if you guys felt that. I still kind of building up over the last few things, and
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying. I guess the main thing was like, for me is like, is the authority over you know your higher spirits. The shiny token of authority is more so like authority over your ship, but your spirits are actually higher than you and actually are the ones who are gifting you insights to help you. You like they actually are smarter than you, stronger than you, etc. So you're actually lower than them, despite the fact that you have authority over the ship. So.
Indeed, I agreed.
And I can relate a little bit even to Alcides, where, you know, I've definitely been doing a goal that maybe wasn't the best goal, and I've tried asking my spirits for help, and it's just, it doesn't work. Nothing comes of it. They're just trying to take you away from the inappropriate goal.
Exactly.
They're like, over here, no, I want you to help me with this. And you can just do that all day. You'll never get them to help you with an inappropriate.
No, it'll be a frustrating experience.
Yeah.
But it's actually good frustration. It should, like what's happening now with Akides, you should frustrate you to write it down. Either talk to us, for example, but also just yourself. I mentioned before, like you need to sound off either in writing or out loud or on camera, and then like listen to yourself. And a lot of times you can sometimes hear your higher spirits talking to you when you look at that guy or girl who happens to be you, and what they said. You know what I mean? Let's continue.
Okay. Okay. I imagine myself summoning forth my Fumasta Mentor to guide me through my goals. I went over my goals once again. Enlightenment is the same, I think, all Naiji wants to some degree. But I realized that instead of secular success, which is rather vague, I really want wealth. That seemed to feel right by my spirits rather than secular success. Also, instead of just health.
Health? Wealth?
Is that what he meant to say? Health or wealth?
I want wealth.
Wealth, and then he said, also, instead of just health, what I want specifically was to feel good and strong in body and mind. I'm guessing he meant health.
Right.
And it does seem more spiritual, too.
Yeah, but just something I'm reading in here, possibly, is that wealth seems to me, for Naiji, to almost even be more beat up than the term secular success.
Yeah, I think that might have been a typo. Because he said, I really want wealth. That seemed to feel right by my spirits rather than secular stuff. Also, instead of just health.
I think he means health. I think he meant wealth and health. Because now, with health, he's talking about good and strong in body and mind.
But he says also instead of just health.
Instead of just health.
Probably.
Because health actually, isn't that exactly what health means? Well,
I could be wrong, but I think if you go up to the top, he mentions the core constants he's into: enlightenment, fitness, secular success, and deep relationships. So I believe he's talking about secular success / wealth and fitness / health /
Okay.
I could be wrong. He'll probably tell us.
Anyway, let's just continue and see where it takes us. So I wrote this all down. Or so I wrote all this down. Anyway, writing this down, I feel like I'm harnessing my anger and fear better. They are directed towards working for something instead of making me flail about like a fish out of water. So from here on comes the rituals associated with the other. Sorry, was someone saying something?
I was to say yes, but we may have a little pause break here on that. Anyway, writing this down, I feel like I'm harnessing my anger and fear better. Yes, any effort in this regard is better. But there is a great deal of confusion that needs to be dealt with first. Not first, but in conjunction with those. And there's still a need, I think, for proper resolution. They are directed towards working for something instead of making you flail around like a fish out of water. True. But I think you're still flailing, just not as much. And that's why I mentioned that, because the next sentence is, so from here on comes the ritual associated with the other. I think it's a little too eager to jump to that. I think the Daryu is still an issue. Now, just you can still call to your other to be pulled up into dialogue and get the benefits from that. But I don't like the sort of implication like, so I think I've got the Daryu thing down, because one, the Daryu thing is ongoing, but from what I'm hearing in this email, this forum post, it sounds like he's still a bit in the weeds, Daryu-wise. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
That's important to know, because people a lot of times want to surge ahead and feel like they've gotten something, and a lot of times
they really haven't. That it's still.
And to be a good friend or mentor to them, you have to let them know, like, no, you actually, I know you want to close that out, but you need to work on that more, because it will not serve you to go ahead to the next level thinking that you've got that tidy.
No, it'll like collapse.
Yeah, it'll collapse.
It's like building a house and not a good foundation.
And Naiji, I think, are a lot like this. Like, as soon as they think that they have some, they just want to close immediately and just move past everything. But it's like it's kind of a slow process a lot of times.
Well, it depends. Some Naiji go the other route and never want to close. But Naiji who are V'd up tend to want to close quickly.
I see.
Naiji who are Z'd up tend to want to close tidily. Those kinds of things that can go on there, because Naiji want to close cases, but what their issue is can depend. Obviously, it's G, they want to close it in a way that has a happy ending. So there's all kinds of ways that are not what the actual case requires. Here, I'm getting a lot of feeling of V impingement. You know what I mean? Food, fitness, wealth, and
Wealth.
also something else. Even though he's talking about spirits, like a worldly understand of dominance and control and an immediacy. Like I want it now. I want it now. Now, Naiji are impatient, but it's more like a long burning patience, impatience to move forward. Where this feels like a bit more like a bit manicky in the speed of which it's jumping. I could be wrong, but from reading, stuff from you guys and other Naiji over the years, this writing seems a bit like it's trying to explain to itself why it's okay now. And I think it's good to explain to yourself the effort you've made, and it's good to explain to yourself the progress you've made, but be careful about explaining that you're okay now when there are still things that need to be worked on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now this makes sense. I think now that I have straightened out what I and my spirits both want, no, sir. I'm not being to be harsh, but there's no way from the things you've written here and other things that you are at that place. I just have to state that. It doesn't mean that you're not a hero, you're not trying hard, and you're not actually making progress. I think those things are probably all true. But that sentence, I think now that I have straightened out what I and my spirits both want, longing comes naturally. I think you want longing. I think you want to get to your other, and that's good. But you want that longing to pull you and not be something that's going to distract you from the work you still need to do. Next, I face challenge to overcome the bad habits they require the past ones, putting in new, helpful ones. No, this is important. This is the mathematical. If he's referencing challenge here, uppercase, with the context of the other, that is proactive. So overcoming bad habits is actually rehabilitation. That's more Daryu.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Challenges are going to be things that take you to a higher ground than you've already been, like to a new high, or if they are in trouble, the other is in trouble, and you must help them. But it won't be you overcoming your bad habits. It'll be you using your good habits to a higher level or overcoming the bad habits of others when you're talking about the challenge ritual in relation to the other. So these a few mathematical things I think are key to kind of highlight.
Yes. Interesting.
Okay.
Because he's going to want to use this, and you have to actually manage your expectations. Otherwise, you'll try it and won't happen. My other's failing me. No, I'm almost certain it's not that way. You know what I mean? So I don't think the other is trying to keep away. I don't think the other Daryu is trying to trip you up, or the Fumasta is trying to not give you advice that's helpful to you.
You just have to figure out why they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
Because they're going to do it anyway.
And I think really saying that that these spirit forms are much smarter for you and they have good reasons for what they're doing is good to say here, because that sort of explains why why it's really what it's you that it has to figure out what they're saying, why that's really important.
Yeah. All right, should I continue?
Sure.
I think we're closing out at least this post, although there's more after that. I felt clear after writing this all down. I don't know exactly what I want to do for wealth. Okay, so it does look like he meant that. But I do know getting good grades will help me on the path to that. Like you guys discussed in a previous episode of Naishi Temple, Naishi work better when they don't feel stuck. That's true. I lost interest in what I'm studying. I don't hate it, but it's not that interesting to me. But if I link it to wealth, I hope it draws out the longing in me so I can harness my Daryu along to help me Sahin V out the path. I hope this gets featured on Naishi Temple for you guys to discuss. Thanks.
Cool. I felt clear-headed writing this down. Good. I think you should keep doing that because it'll help get what's in your head out, and you can make more sense of it. Here at the Naiji, we have a lot going on, and the things we're working on, they tend to be very large human condition cases. You need to sound out the pieces so you can see them. You need to write them down. You discuss them so you can work with them, and they become much more aware and refined through the process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for wealth, I have to say this sounds fairly beat up, because it's been mentioned a lot and seems to be weighing on him the most. And the definition and wealth pretty much seems like worldly.
No, it's still because he's saying it's longing, and longing comes more from your other, and
Right.
wealth would seem more like you just want what that's like it's something to keep kind of Daru at bay.
Yes, agreed, agreed. Very well said. This seems to me, that's well said. This seems like he is actually trying to keep the Daru at bay, but thinks it's actually longing for his other, and that's not the case.
That's still keeping Daru at bay is still reactive. It's
It
still,
is. And it's still not at the other's level, and to come to her with a desire for wealth, which is actually Daru and your Daru whooping on you. So to take your Daru spanking you with the world's expectations and then bring that to your other as longing will not get a good reaction. Wealth for Naiji, the way it usually works when we're peaking, I'll go with longing first. Your other is actually going to want to hang out with you and do cool stuff with conversation and interesting things that are going to elevate your spirits. So wealth does not guarantee that, or does not even take you in that direction necessarily. So that would not be longing with the Nijai other. Nijai is going to want interesting things, exciting things, change that betters their human condition and that of other people they empathize with. So for then Naiji, it's going to Daru. Anything that helps you envision your teaching story, to talk about it, to share it with others, and to make it manifest in the world is going to empower you. Gaining wealth is a distraction. That's the fact. So now, why is that on your mind? There's two reasons. One is okay and one is not. We'll go with one reason it's not okay, which is people tell you you need to be wealthy and their opinion is weighing on you. You can't be the poor son, the poor friend, the poor sibling, the poor kid in town, whatever. So that is telling you you need wealth, and your visioning is on pause until you can get them to shut the fuck up. And apparently wealth is what you believe will get them to shut up. But what you need is to listen to your spirits and do what they tell you is your life's calling. And wealth, by anyone else's standards, is a distraction. Now, wealth by your standards. For Naiji, that generally means they can take care of what they need in order to keep doing the kind of casework they want, so they can live undistracted. I mean, comfortable might be the right word, but even more minimalistic is undistracted. So for Naiji, V needs to be non-distracting or relevant to the case they're working on. And so if they do that, then V is put in its proper place. A degree of having money can help make that easier. But to call the goal wealth and not the removal of V distractions and the increase of interesting V things to my spirits want to work on, then that wealth is a chain around your neck that's going to take you to the bottom of the ocean and drown you. Straight up. Lots of Naiji go after that, and even some get really good at it, and it's still a trap because they just want more wealth. They still feel like crap, except for they feel a little high after they sell their last album, make a few $1 million, and they crash again. Rise and crash.
I mean, can't even tell you about rappers that are so wealthy and they're preaching messages that are
For sure.
false messages, so they haven't even. I mean, some of them, obviously, not all of them, but,
Right. It's not everyone, but a lot of them for sure.
they haven't even learned anything. They're not higher.
No, and they have a great deal of wealth, yet they use the wealth to keep things around them and to do wealth that people think is, whoa, that's impressive wealth, and that keeps them where their higher spirits can't get to them. So very important that the wealth he's describing here sounds a lot like a trap and an expectation that other people are having. Because for Naiji, I mean, if you look at Naiji from just every walk of life, every kind of career path, generally one thing they're known for is give them the kind of work they like to do, stay out of their way, and they're happy. If the V gets to where they can't do the kind of work they want to do, have the conversations they want to have, think the thoughts they want to have, then there's a problem. But otherwise, not really. So that's a great strength for Naiji. But one thing else too is an IG. The G can make you sensitive to what other people think you should have, and there can be a need for proper Nai saying, I need to just detach from those expectations because they're weighing me down. I'm going to be stuck getting this wealth thing, and I won't be able to peak. In short, wealth should be aiding and peaking. If the pursuit of wealth or even the accumulation of wealth is actually a distraction from peaking, it's a trap.
Yeah, and I think, like, fitness is something that I think can be a little bit, like, it's less, that people are less likely to fall into, there are some people who can't fall into a trap which they, like, you think fitness, doing it for your image, you know, is...
A lot of IG do. A lot of IG can be, if they get beat up, they can do the wealth angle, but they can also be extremely vain and violent.
Oh, yeah.
There's quite a few.
Yes, I remember you mentioning this coach on Truthfire episodes.
Yeah, there's
but
a lot
I think if you do it, like, just, like, for your well-being, like, you know, like...
Or for, like, a role in a movie.
It's just good for your... It's just...
Good.
It can be, but that also can be beat up. And so I see what you're saying, Ben. In that context, I'll go back to the wealth thing. I'm not saying it's wrong. Done healthily, correlated to your healthy use of talking about going to the gym, is you can have a healthy lack of compunction about putting your hands on the world or people in it. There's a healthy use of that, and IG have that. But there's also unhealthy when they get beat up.
Yeah, I was saying though, what I was saying is it can be unhealthy for both ways, but I think people tend to, in general, just tend to be more obsessed with wealth over. But that actually isn't true because a lot of people are just obsessed with their image, right? Like all the time you see.
And just know a lot of IG are really hung up on physical dominance.
Yeah. So it is like arguably it's like they're both traps that people tend to fall in a lot. But I think both can be good.
Actually, you look at a lot of careers.
Even some very, very smart ones.
Yeah. And there's a lot of IG who get like wealth in different careers. A lot of times the careers they get, even though they have money, they're more renowned for their formidability, even to the point of being toxic. Rap stars, gangsters, fighters, all kinds of stuff like that. Where they make money, but really the thing is when they walk in a room, people just are hit by their V, and it makes them feel good. They get a rush off that. Naiji get a tremendous rush, and they can be done heroically, and it's awesome, by reading the expressions in people, their faces and their body energy based on how they're interpreting you. So I think wealth is a big part of that, because wealth can be vain too.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I think fitness is a very good thing in general, but like it just depends on like how you're, like what you're doing it for, like basically why you're doing it, and then setting your standards based on that.
I agree.
So if you just want to live a long life, like you don't have to like go to the gym like for 45 minutes every day. Like you could probably do it maybe 2 or 3 times a week, things like that.
No, I understand what you're saying. I agree totally with that within the context of the fitness. But from what I've seen of Naiji, I don't know that I would single any V fetish as being more or less healthy than another. Does that make sense? For example, like the wealth angle, a lot of Naiji go out and get a little bit of wealth in order they can basically be a patron of arts for their own art.
Yeah.
And that's extremely healthy to be done. And they do it quite a bit. Just like it's good to get some kind of like physical formidability to a degree that you can support your sensitivity without turning on the prey drive in other humans. But again, all of those, there's many more besides those, but those can all be done, I think, healthy or unhealthy, depending, I think, on where your head's at and also what the expectations are. Because
I agree. It applies to all areas of fetishes. That makes sense.
What were we saying though? Do we have more?
I was just like pointing out like some of the, just elaborating on like fitness.
No, yeah, and it can be very healthy. It definitely can. As can, like I said, being a patron to your own art, which sometimes you have to be because no one else will do it.
Mm-hmm.
Until way after the dead.
Yeah.
But sometimes you really don't need that much wealth. But whereas like fitness is something that I think a lot of people like should be worrying about more. Like it's just the status of our society. We aren't really a society that really thinks about like just longevity of life. We just think about like image and things like that. So
Right. So I see what you're saying there. I'm going to go a little higher there with the Nye while incorporating what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. Now I see what you're saying. That is true that there is a propensity built into certain cultures or periods of time. But that basically Nye to V, any kind of V fetish could be more or less healthy. But there are certain places like the U.S. where it's pushed more. But you may hear that many cultures around the world, for example, mock the U.S. or Western culture, particularly like the first world countries like Europe and the U.S. that actually focus on that. So it's not every culture that focuses on that. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, there's certain modifiers depending on what culture you're in, what they happen to value more than other things.
For example, like I mean, there, like a lot of cultures from Latin America, for example. I mean, wealth is important, but actually a sense and a presence of machismo, which has some G to it, obviously, but actually a lot of V. There's a way you're supposed to be able to handle things, the environment, and that's more, wealth counts, you should pay a check some too, but it's more important, the overall machismo presence. So, yeah, different cultures, they
I can confirm that in Spanish class I take.
So different cultures will emphasize different things, and those emphases will, incline people to fetish more on them, and that means there can be more chance of toxically, overdoing it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I would agree with that, Ben. That in the U.S., for example, wealth is put over fitness. In general.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because, and depending on your goals, like it's interesting because fitness is more of like a universal thing in terms of like how much people like should be doing it to extend their life and things like that. Whereas wealth is something that varies depending on what your aspirations are. Like if you don't really if myself, I probably won't really need much more than like a computer, an internet connection, and well, actually, it's funny because wealth and fitness kind of go hand in hand. Because if you need money to buy healthy food, so it's almost, they're actually connected.
They are, and
yeah.
I would say that like one is less important than the other because like in the history of humans, it has not been human civilization that gave birth to the concept of wealth. If you look in the animal kingdom, the concept of wealth is there in even most primitive mammals. So the idea that you can accumulate things that are wealthy means that you both can give them to other people and that you have the power to make that. You could make it again. It says that you are an earner. So physicality means that you will hopefully live long, give healthy offspring, and protect them. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you actually are a good provider. There's protector and there's provider, and there's lots of things too. But as far as like the primitive drives that go there, wealth is a very primitive drive that does relate across the board to some degree, in that those that are able to gain it and use it to make things happen have a sort of worldly power, V. They can make the world the way they want it to some degree. As there's lots of other things that can do that as well, but physical prowess or health is a big one. But wealth is, I would say, at least equal to that as far as the animal kingdom's response to it.
That makes sense.
Now, one thing to mention on that I think is worth mentioning, I think you may be hitting on this, Ben, is that in the history of humans, there has been the legacy. And because of that, the amount of wealth that can be accumulated has become inordinate to where it is far beyond what is in a person's normal lifetime. Whereas physical fitness, you really can't replicate it out like that. You can't stack it like that.
Yeah.
So the health of a person is sort of intrinsically linked to their time span of their life. Whereas wealth can have these numbers that are actually from many lifetimes, or the accumulation of the energy of many lives. And so, not in a lot of ways. I'm sorry, you're saying, Mitchell?
I say like inheritance and legacy and stuff like that.
For sure.
Vi likes that, loves that stuff.
And also, like, positions of power and authority. The Xeni like as well, where if you get that position, you're allowed to kind of like tithe the energy and money and other things of a vast amount of people. So you have like the length of time, and then you have sort of like it's all networked under one apparatus, one institution. Yeah, important points. I would say actually, instead of bringing up the big picture, actually physical fitness I think does actually have an equal sort of issue in that regard, which is although the body doesn't change in the kind of ways wealth does over a lifetime, I think the use of media has also, sort of perpetrated a vision of what that's supposed to be that is very difficult for a person not to be toxically possessed by. Do you mean? If you were to go do health right now, and you're like, I'm going to get healthy, and you're going to go out and get a bunch of health magazines, that's going to fuck you up. I mean, unless you have a strong psyche, because you're going to be seeing nothing but models with great genetics who do nothing but work out all the time, and they're like competition form when those photos are taken. And that will be told you what the standard is, which is basically inhuman. So I think, both wealth and health, the way people kind of understand them, they've been given ideas of it that come from cultural legacy or expectation, and they're pretty much guaranteed to possess you. And at Niji, really have to watch out for that. Because if you're Nai strong, Niji and just Nai Alpha in general are the best at kind of resisting that. On the other hand, if you fetish on it, it can become very addictive, and it can become like a relief for a sense of powerlessness with your peak pathway. And both Nai Alpha can have to watch out being obsessed about wealth, physical fitness, sexual conquest. There's a whole bunch of them. All because they've been told that's epic, and you need to be epic. That's an epic body. That's an epic wealth. That's an epic, lay, whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting. On the other end of the spectrum, you have to be careful, not to just carelessly eat unhealthy food all the time, right?
Sure.
So that's interesting.
Yeah,
we can easily fall on both extremes of the spectrum.
Definitely, and the wealth thing as well. I mean, because Niji can go the route where they fetish on wealth, but actually a lot of Niji go. I'd say more Niji go the other way for sure, which they're like, I don't need it. Niji will go minimalist on you. You're like, dude, you might want to take a bath more often. You know what I mean? It might be nice to have a roof or something. You know what I mean? Because there's a point where if you don't, have at least some control to be in your environment, it does impinge on the lair lab. It does impinge on hanging out with your other, you know what I mean? If you have a cool Niji, she'll be down or he'll be down, whatever, with actually hanging out with you in general. But if you see Naked and Afraid, those are some badass Niji lays a lot of times. But at some point, when you don't have enough water, don't have enough food, the bugs are biting you, all these stuff. Even they're like, this sucks, I don't want to be here. And that could be you. Your world, and Nigel like, I don't care. I can live, because Nigel be and that's not an answer. And so that's actually going anti-wealth. So a lot of Nigel are big on anti-wealth. So they'll go anti-wealth or anti-vanity. But there's there's a certain amount of pride in one's body, a certain amount that is helpful for your peak pathway, and your other will appreciate. And that goes with wealth and a bunch of other stuff too.
Yeah. Definitely true.
Magic can be very heroic with the anti-wealth thing too, because they can do things and invent ways for people to do things that take a lot less wealth, which is something I think Niji do a lot, where people are using wealth inappropriately to hoard things, and they can stop that.
They can. Anti-hoarding and also anti-waste and also anti-being addicted to it. So Niji,
that's like anti-snap.
Yeah, it's very good that way. But again, it can go to the point where you're like, I think you're just writing. It's actually for faux zen. What about this? Don't eat it. What about that? Don't eat it. You know what I mean? That's cool to a degree. There are some V things, even if you're bipolar, that you do need.
Yeah, that's true.
But on the other hand, here it looks like Alcides is being told a bit, either by his demons or by the environment, that he needs more than probably he does, or in a particular way that his spirits are probably not caring that much about. For example, that sense right there. I don't know exactly what I want to do for wealth, but I do know getting good grades will help me on the path that, okay, you guys are both Niji. Doing work just to get wealth, but you don't find the work at all interesting? Oh, my goodness. No, that's not.
It's hard for me to do work I don't want to do for better reasons.
Exactly. Like you need I like this topic. I like talking about this, and so I need to do this prerequisite this thing. In which case you can do it, but like for wealth, you just know when you go for wealth, a lot of times the shit gets hard. You'll find out how much anti-wealth you are. You're like, you know what? I don't need this.
Yeah.
I thought I did until I started actually studying for 1,800 hours to get some wealth, and now that just seems like you know what I mean? Like
Now
studying.
I've realized how anti-wealth I am.
It's true. Because like I'll study 1,800 hours for like I want to actually go scuba dive in caves with exotic fish, and each hour I'm a little closer to that, and I'm spending more time with the cool fish. It feeds you, as opposed to if I do this at 4 years, I'll get a degree in underwater biology. They'll put me in this institution. I'll get this much money. Oh my goodness, that that is a long, hard.
And there's like so much more than that too, because there's not even just the wealth. Like you're thinking of like just where you are in the big picture, like what you think about everything and all the relationships, and it's just like how you want to change it all.
It's true.
You know, then I'll get like a big house I don't need. I'll get like a shiny card I don't need. I'll get like I don't know, like a huge lawn that I'm never going to make any use of. Like, I mean, it's, you know, like when you become obsessed with it, you start imagining things that you could have that like you don't really need, that aren't really, so, you know, of interest to you for your key pathway to really benefit it. So
and it's very much like an analogy I heard once I thought was a really good one, is that you need certain nutrients when you eat. And
Yeah.
you don't get them, but you eat like, you know, stuff that doesn't have anything, maybe just like processed sugary stuff or whatever. You won't get those nutrients. And so after you eat that, you're hungrier. And you just keep like binging on like, you know, raspberry Danish twist until it's coming out of your ears, and yet you're still hungry. Your stomach is going to explode and you're still hungry. And same here. You get more money to get more stuff, like Ben's saying, that you don't need, and you're still hungry. And what's happening is you like become like addicted to trying to fill that hole with a unit of measurement that's never going to be able to fill that hole. Only peaking does that. If wealth does not equal peaking, it's a distraction, and it's going to mess with your pathway. All right, we don't have much time left. Do we have any time to get into his X-Men stuff, or maybe that's another day?
I guess we have 8 minutes. I mean,
All right, let's do it. 8 minutes on X-Men.
it's a couple of short paragraphs. Do you want to keep going, Mitchell, or should I?
Yeah, I'll read it real quick, and we'll just do it at the end.
Okay.
I was thinking this more today when I realized the plot of X-Men Days of Future Past is based about how Charles Xavier overcomes his Daryu Rut, among
Yeah,
other
that
things.
struck me that way. Yeah, I did see that.
Cool. The modes of the actors aren't perfectly aligned, but I think it works as something like a general idea of how the different spirits work, to some degree. Charles is afraid of his failures in the beginning of the story until Wolverine is sent back in time to get him to help stop Mystique from killing. Charles blames himself, takes a solution to shut off his powers to prevent himself from feeling his pain and others' pain. Wolverine succeeds in getting him to move, and they help free Magneto and go and find Mystique. But in the end, Magneto turns against them, and they end up at home. So finally, Charles goes into Wolverine's mind and sees himself in the future as Professor X, who has mastered his powers completely. Professor X tells him how to allow himself to feel his own pain, to embrace it, and in doing so, he would become stronger than ever. That's true. In the end, he stops trying to control Mystique and leaves the choice to her. She's finally convinced that killing would not help. So it seems to me that Wolverine here is actually playing a role similar to the other, actually more like High Daryu, helping him get to his Fumasta. He is Nijai as opposed to the Jinai actor. In this case, I don't think the Mojo is... You can have your Nijai actually acting as like a High Daryu and things like that. There can be crossover that way. Because the character he's playing does not seem particularly very Nijai to me.
Who, Wolverine?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I can think of several Mojos he might be, but Nijai would not be on that list. Charles, but functionally he managed to pull Charles a little out of the Daryu Rut. And actually, I mentioned before, the first one to help you out of your Daryu Rut is your High Daryu. That's its job. It can call on help from the other, the Fumasta, but your High Daryu, you can complete the Daryu using yourself in the Daryu. You, as the apparatus doing it right, and your High Daryu helps you, you will get to resolution, you're good to go. Okay, then finally he leads him to his Fumasta future self, true, Professor X, who managed to get Charles to embrace his pain and his powers again. All right, that's quite a bit. What do you guys think?
But I like the movie.
Indeed.
I haven't actually seen the movie. Well, I'm not even that familiar with X-Men in general.
I recommend
Ugh.
You would like X-Men.
You would like X-Men.
I like that groan there.
It's basically like it's basically, you know, everyone, you're a mutant and
Sonajez.
it really is. It's actually, I think it's for anyone who has a peak pathway that's easily misunderstood.
Yeah, I agree with that. I
Yeah.
think anyone could relate to it like that.
I would think of the subjective interpretives
Exactly. I was
would
thinking.
feel that quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure Ziny and Shiny can relate to it in their way, and I'm sure any interpreter probably could in their own way, depending on where they are.
Sure.
Even some of the more.
If you've ever been called a freak.
Yeah, yeah. I think that appealed me. I'll definitely check out. I'm not sure which one I should check out first. Like,
This is so much X-Men. I mean,
there's a lot of X-Men movies.
There's a lot of-
a lot of them are pretty. I mean, they're all related.
Well, actually, I should say I've probably seen one when I was really young, but like I don't really remember it too clearly. But
Anyway, well, as far as like what he's saying, I mean, you pretty much said it already. You kind of explained.
Well, there's a lot to actually unpack there. For example, one I didn't get into because there was a lot to it is what about this concept that he revisits throughout as like a thematic of embracing his own pain?
Huh. I do remember that.
that actually sounds like embracing the pain. That in a lot of ways, that can Anaiji can get. I think you've mentioned this before, Coach. Anaiji can get obsessed with the Daryu and try to like basically like act like it's actually like a good thing that they're like that and kind of just like become Daryu and sort of
Right.
sort of put that like basically live their life around it.
Sure. Yeah. I think
So,
that
That
Professor.
can be negative, but I'm interested if you think there's perhaps
There's another thing too.
I agree with what you're saying, Ben. Just in this case with Professor X, I think it was more of him sort of avoiding a Daryu.
Yeah. Hang on. So I have something to say on that,
Please.
which is there's no not actually anyone, humans in general can avoid pain, and when you avoid pain, it just builds up. It's stuff you haven't dealt with, and it becomes harder and harder and harder to deal with, and it becomes this giant. So I think in that sense it definitely is related to Daryu, of like it's Daryu you haven't dealt with, and you're just sort of pushing farther under the rug, and now the rug's all the way up here.
the rug's like a monster.
It's not even on the floor anymore.
It's like
And you have to deal with it at some point, and it's really really hard to deal with now. And eventually, it's like it's like a wart. I mean, you can pop it, and it hurts, or you can wait, and it'll hurt more to pop it the longer you wait. But eventually, it's gonna pop.
Yep.
There's no escaping it.
That's I like how you said that. That's true. Referencing this to kind of like connecting the two posts is being beat up or Z'd up or any of them is usually an attempt to deal with the pain.
Yes, and Mi Jai also can help deal with pain immensely with their Jai.
That's true.
Yeah. Yes. Like lighten things. But like Zai can kind of not feel pain when not like addressing it, like a splint.
That's like the big selling feature of Fozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of teaches you like if you don't care, you don't hurt as much because you're gonna hurt, but you can reduce the hurting by not really caring that much.
But at some point, you need to actually process that pain, and your other's going to be very, very important for that as an Aishi.
Sure.
Because we're not healer mojos. I mean, that's not really our specialty.
And then also, the pain that comes from like the Nai being told that its V isn't good enough. The knee of the other is going to help you. Like you're a genius. You're
You feel like powerful in the environment.
Exactly, and be like, this conversation is interesting. Those things will be validating as opposed to, I need wealth and I don't have it. And it seems like a lot to me, like even like here, like those rap singers, like talk about wealth. It sounds a lot to me like they just have a chip on their shoulder of they don't feel very good, and like they need constant infusions of money into their veins to feel good for a little while.
There are Nijai like that too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Iggy Azalea and Nicki Minaj. Well,
Although, you know, to give Nige their quote-unquote credit, a lot of the rap culture, I mean, as far as like the amount of rap artists, it's like 85% plus Nige. So they've kind of set the standard of how one swaggers in that field. Yay. I don't think
the
they
Nijai will inevitably get into it of some sort, healthy or not. Well,
but it is, I think, yeah, the Xi can numb the pain, the V can distract from the pain.
oh yeah.
Even your other, if you don't do it right, you can be like, and a healthy other, unhealthy, you know, say Nijai can take advantage of this, and a healthy Nijai will have no interest in it. Where you basically are like clingy to them, like you need them to be around, otherwise the pain comes on. You can't deal with the pain without them. You want your other to help you with your pain, but you need to be able to deal with it on your own to some degree, like, you know, Mazout apparatus Daryu level. You can't like come in with all that hanging on you and expecting, because the pain the other can help you with is kind of like that overall dissatisfaction pain that comes from Nai starting, and then the fact that the world generally is not as validating as you would like. And it can help give where that's lacking. But you have to have walked out like Nai, Ji, Zai, V on your own and come with a healthy relationship with V. And then the other can come in and give the whole rest of the bounty of that, you know, stimulus register quadrant. But like no amount of Ni, I mean the best Ni Zhai can make up for an unhealthy connection between a Nai, Ji's, Nai, and V. You know what I mean? If you can't make that healthy just through your own consciousness and the, you know, subconscious of the Daryu, the other can't fix all that. In fact, the best that your other can do is elevate you to where it gets more and more uncomfortable to have that stuck to you. So you go.
So true. Yeah. Nijai do that where they'll like ask you certain questions, and sometimes they're not actually very comfortable questions, but they're actually very important that you address them. And that's why they're uncomfortable.
Yep, for sure. Exactly. But to do, and that means you may have to go in and do your Daryu, but it can so the other can help give you strength, can help give you motivation, and can help give you insight. But you'll still have to do it. The other can't do it for you, and neither can having wealth. And neither does Zying up, so you feel almost nothing.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we knocked it out pretty quick.
Yeah, 9:31.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that. I think the pain thing is good for him to put out there. That the thematic of the pain Professor X is feeling and how that was kind of owning him a bit. You mean the pain of his peak pathway and the pain of his peak pathway lived out in the world. I think that's something he should kind of mull on, because I think it relates to where he is right now. And when he looks on the goals that he's having right now and how he's setting them and his idea of the Fumasta, I think it would be good for him to understand that right now he's in a great deal of pain. And that pain is causing confusion, fear, and anger. But once you can look at what's caused the pain and like embrace it, as happened in the story, it will begin the processing of it. Now, just know, the other is super good at helping you to process it once you've actually taken the task on. You know what I mean? If you take the task on, you're already right there to help you with it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're just kind of lumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we have Daryu too, because Daryu is meant to help us prepare us for other, and if you're not really prepared, then of course your other can't fix everything for you.
Yeah. Because your other first thing would be like, hey, this is a way to not be lumpy. If that doesn't work, it's sort of like, please don't be lumpy. If that doesn't work, then it'll leave you. And go, okay, well, I'll come back when you're less lumpy. And then if you still don't do anything, then your Daryu walks out and starts kicking you. Like, okay, apparently that didn't get through. Let me talk to you. He's a bit more pointed about it.
A little more physical.
A little more physical.
Hardcore.
All right, perfect. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna quickly mention the concept of like embracing the pain is interesting to me. Like that's why I mentioned the thing earlier. But because it like taking it like embracing it, I sort of thought it meant like literally.
Like taking it too far.
Like wanting it. Like I want to become it. I want to, you know. But it's like, or I just want that around me.
And I should get possessed by like a Daryu lifestyle where they're like.
But I guess. But I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I
It
think
was an
I see
interesting
what you're saying.
remake.
I think it probably happens because you didn't see the movie. Because in what he's referencing here, I think me and Mitchell both know, is that he was avoiding the pain of being him and the responsibility of being him in the world.
Yeah, he has these telepathic powers where he like feels everyone around him. It's like incredible, but it's this incredible responsibility. He feels all this. And Naiji can relate to it actually very much with like our HSP and how we even like looking at a person, it's like hard. He has that to like the nth degree,
Right.
where he could like see into people's minds and their deepest thoughts.
And then
he can control
also,
them.
there's that initial pain of that. That's kind of like I said, the pain of just being an IG. And then there was the pain of when he tried to use it, it didn't go well.
Mhm.
And so it's the pain of the world. So like I said, those are two issues that start there. But I know what you're talking about, Ben, which is that Naiji can use, like I said, pleasurable distractions, painful distractions. They can do different things. They can act like, I like the pain. Pain's fun.
Yeah, but I was just commenting on the use of the word embrace. Is sort of what I was getting at.
I think what he meant was, which I agree with, was that he accepted the pain that was a proper part of his way.
That makes sense.
He kind of like his way. He kind of like was like a friend he didn't talk to anymore, and he needed to embrace that friend, but to do so was going to be painful. And so you don't have to do it all at once, but I mean, anytime you're not embracing the peak pathway of any mojo is going to be demanding. And so you'll have to embrace the demand that your will to shine places on you. And then the pain of when you put your will to shine in the world, how it goes. Because it's never going to be quite as you thought it was going to be. There's going to be some adjustments there. And so Naiji have to deal a lot with, basically it hurts, so screw this, I don't want to play. And that's kind of Professor X was in. He's like, yeah, I know I'm really powerful and should really help things get better, but it hurts.
Yeah, you have to be willing to experience it. That makes sense. So
because I think how it would Wolverine helped him with is understanding that he was given this gift for a reason, that there was something you're supposed to be doing with it, so you wouldn't have it if you weren't supposed to be doing something with it, and so you have to work with it. If you don't, you'll be at war. So basically, work with it or be at war with it. Was kind of his message, which sounds like hi Daryu. Where your Daryu wants to help you, but it's helping by telling you like, okay, you really got to take that into hand, or it's going to handle you.
yeah.
Anyway, I think you might actually like the movie. I thought it was good.
Oh crap! I'm about to my laptop's shutting off. Power off.
I see that.
It's running out. It's running out battery.
You're
about
dark.
to die.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
See ya.
Good night.
Good night.